So good evening, everyone. And let me say a special welcome to you all as we get started for this wonderful program this evening. I think we have enough that we can go ahead and get started. The others will fill in as they come in. And let me take this opportunity to wish everyone Emancipation Day greetings. And perhaps this is a timely presentation for us to have to truly reflect on what emancipation means to us as a people, as Caribbean people, um, in this region. Are we truly emancipated? Are we truly free um, in the lives that we live? And so we are honored this evening to welcome Rosi Dejean, a seasoned geopolitical analyst and strategist who comes from a Haitian background. She currently lives in New York, and she has a background in international marketing management from Pace University and deep expertise in agricultural policies, food security, trade strategy, and is a political liaison who works across global platforms. And so Rosi this afternoon brings a powerful lens to tonight's topic, from chains to corporations, the new face of colonialism. She will explore how neo-colonial forces, from foreign land acquisitions in Haiti to the infiltration of Caribbean countries by corporations that demand big tax breaks and other concessions, and the adoption of US-style policies like Stand Your Ground that are reshaping justice, governance, and sovereignty across the Caribbean. So as we settle into this compelling 20 to 30-minute presentation, I urge you all to get ready with your questions, comments, and critical insights that we will have in the open session following. So over to you, Rosi, and thank you for accepting our invitation to be on this podcast. I am your host, Denise Sawyer-Fat Angus. Thank you.
Unmute. Yes, I didn't unmute. I just unmuted. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I do really appreciate the opportunity to express my views, my analysis in geopolitical strategists and geopolitical analysts, and how we as a people in the Americas, first we have to look at ourselves as people who were exported from the African continent and brought to the Americas. So now we have to be part of the Americas. So we have to understand, how do we fit in while we live and we have generations that are coming up within our society, within our communities, and how do we expand our social, cultural, economic, and political development. For the past, let's say 200 years, we can look at ourselves as living in the Americas, but not fully active, because we have not been the ones to make decisions. For example, political decisions, economic decisions. Only a few minor groups are able to make these decisions. So this is where we began to question our emancipation. Are we really emancipated? Are we really free? Then when we go to land ownership, if we are deprived of land ownership, then do we have full sovereignty as a citizen, or we have citizenship in the country where we live, or whether it's the islands, whether it's in America, whether it's in the United States? But we're going to concentrate on the Caribbean islands because they are treated a bit differently than in America. In America, yes, you can buy a house, You can own your house, but you never really fully own the house because you have to pay taxes until you sell the property. But in the Caribbean islands, we can own land fully and not have to and should not have to worry about land confiscation or land dispossession, but it is not the case. So we are going to concentrate a little bit on what's been happening in Haiti for the past 200 years. We'll start with the U.S. invasion of 1915. We will look at why U.S. decided to invade Haiti in 1915 and why did it stay for 19 years and had to be pushed out by the Haitians. And then we'll also look at what was the motivation behind this invasion. Although it was written to restore order, but in fact, it was never to restore order. We will get into that. And then we will come all the way up to today, as Haiti cannot be considered a state because it doesn't have elected officials. We know a state has to have a representative, elected officials that are elected by the majority to represent the state, to meet with interlocutors, to have representation at the UN, to have ambassadors. So today we are looking at Haiti as a complete well, I wouldn't say failed state, but I look at it as a territory where people are living. And this was done deliberately in order to completely remove Haiti's sovereignty so that Haiti would be reconstituted in the neo-colonial frame setting that they are planning. And Haiti has always been a testing ground for the Americans from the beginning of U.S. ambitions to began its colonial aspirations. Because remember, the United States was a colony, and after it gained its independence in 1776, even though England tried to recolonize, but the Americans fought very hard not to be recolonized by England. So now they had the Europeans who were the colonizers of almost the entire planet. England was one of them. And you had France, you had Germany, you had the Spaniards. They were all in Africa. So the US was a new entity coming up in this new world that was dominated by Europeans. So I look at it into why and how US began its colonial aspiration, its colonial expansion. It had to develop its economy. So I balance the information, not to say I'm supporting, but I'm just sharing facts. So U.S. had to compete against the Europeans, and before they got into competing with the Europeans, they had to make sure that they secured the Western Hemisphere so that the Europeans would not come back and invade them, and so on. So they had fear of foreign invasion. At the same token, they wanted to expand into Latin America. The Europeans were already there, so they had to push the Europeans out. So U.S. began to make concessions with some of the European colonial powers to get them out of Latin America. But the country that really helped U.S. to establish its vast land was Haiti. It was the Haitian Revolution, where U.S. still, and a lot of people do not know, supported Toussaint Louverture when it was fighting against France to free the nation. And as U.S. supported Haiti, it provided funding and it provided arms. Once Haiti gained its independence and defeated Napoleon, Napoleon was broke. So Napoleon now was in a position to sell the western part of the North America, which now became it was the Louisiana Purchase, which now included Louisiana, Tennessee, all the way into the middle of America, the Wyoming, the Dakotas, and all those land were also occupied by Native Indians. Okay, so now that gives you an idea of where U.S. How the Americans develop their economies. Now, all throughout the 1800s, there were a lot of wars in Europe among the Europeans, fighting for territory, fighting to colonize. And U.S. had its first international war with Spain in the Philippines. And then it also fought Spain in Florida in order to gain access to Latin America. It was the gateway to Latin America. It's imperative that we understand the chronological order and the trajectory of how and why U.S. invaded Haiti. So Haiti was an independent and sovereign nation because it fought for its independence and it gained the freedom as a sovereign nation, but it was always presented as a threat to the colonizer, to the enslavers, to the slave economic structure in the United States. They were not ready to sever ties or to end the slavery economic system because it was very profitable for the Southerners, not in the North, but in the South. So U.S. would not recognize Haiti up until 1862, when Abraham Lincoln, after the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln declared the emancipation of the Africans on the slaves in North America, and then U.S. Recognized Haiti. But prior to that, from 1804 to 1821, France refused to recognize Haiti's independence until Haiti decided to pay for its freedom, for the land and its freedom. So in 1821, the president, it was Boyer, caved into pressure from France because there were fleets coming into the Haitian waters, threatening to re-enslave the Haitians. So that left them no other alternative but to agree to pay the demand of 150 million francs. In today's dollar, it's valued at $21 billion. So now let's go into understanding a little bit of the history of Haiti. The case for Haiti is its sovereignty, and it's a protracted aspiration of the African people finding themselves living in the Americas without any self-determination or freedom of movement that later became a fundamental right encompassing the liberty to travel within a country, cross borders, and choose one's resident. And today it's still being denied to the Haitian majority. We can see that with the migration, with the hardship that is imposed on the Haitian population. In the 21st century, Haitians are not suffering because of the unthinkable audacity to demand freedom as a human being. It is the fact that the U.S. constant meddling in Haitian affairs, its constant intervention in the state affairs, is an example of how U.S. foreign policy is often shaped by the dictates, racial capitalism, by an economic system suffused with racial ideology and racist thinking, and a colonial system based on racial superiority, which refuses to let go of its superior stance. This is pretty much what Haiti is suffering from today. Against every ethnic group, particularly anyone who dares to demand economic freedom and sovereignty that is not considered normal within the Western society, or how the Western political ideology and economic structure is set up. Uh, we are looking at the situation in Haiti as an unfinished project of African sovereignty. Uh, um, there's a wonderful, beautiful, uh, um, well-versed African professor. Her name is Dr. Jemima Pierre. She recently traveled to Ghana, and she highlighted the United Nations involvement in the 2004 coup d'etat and the subsequent occupation of Haiti. And in her discussion, you know, because of U.S. now, because of all the racial tension that had been experienced during prior U.S. Marines invasion in Haiti, it has become a little bit harder for the Americans to send white soldiers to Haiti. So now, recently, in the past, I think under the Biden administration, Trump is not taking that task yet, but under the Biden administration, uh, uh, he, excuse me, Anthony Blinken, who was Secretary of State, he went around the world looking for another nation to take on the task of re-invading Haiti again. I mean, when we keep on looking at these things, we always try to see one side and not the Haitian side. Um, so Canada was approached, and Canada said no. Brazil was approached, Brazil said no. Um, they went to the CARICOM nations, and I think the majority of the CARICOM nations did not want to participate, even though there are a few of them that are participating. But the only group that accepted was the Kenyan troops. So William Ruto, the president of Kenya, accepted the invitation of Biden to discuss sending Kenyan troops, supposedly to help the Haitian police to curtail the gang proliferation that keeps increasing in Haiti. So Kenyan troops is being used as a U.S. proxy force for another invasion and occupation. And she raises this important questions about neoliberal, neocolonialism and imperialism, as well as African self-determination and Black sovereignty. So in her discussion, she addresses the calculated destabilization of Haiti and its sovereignty by the US and its Western allies, along with broader global participation that has provoked ongoing issues, ongoing instability, insecurity, violence, which were not there. If we look back in prior to the 2004 coup d'etat against Jean-Bertrand Aristide, we did not have this type of gang activities in the country. But once they were getting ready to remove Aristide, all of a sudden we started seeing pockets of violence in different uh, um, neighborhoods. But these neighborhoods were popular neighborhoods that were that had Jean-Bertrand Aristide's supporters. So there was something to be looked at about that. And then she also mentioned that the post-colonial states, especially those in Africa, should make themselves more aware of what Haiti is experiencing with Western imperialism. And what she means is today it's Haiti, tomorrow is going to be another country that will be the target. Until Haiti fully submits, I don't believe that the Americans would stop harassing, meddling, interfering into Haitian politics. So now, during my research in the past 10 years, I had moved to Haiti for 4 years, 5 years. I returned to the States because of the gang proliferation, because of the violence. I did not want to expose myself and I did not want to get injured. My property got confiscated, my cars got stolen by the gangs. But I came back to the States. But what I during my investigation, what I discovered is that there's a major neo-colonial construction program taking place in Haiti, and that program involves the complete dismantlement and subsequent restructuring of Haiti's entire political and economic and social structure by the international community, which is U.S., France, Canada, and the EU. And today we have witnessed the complete destruction of a nation to serve the interests of capital. Well, why do we say that, to serve the interests of capital? When the US invaded Haiti, the first thing they did is they confiscated the bank of Haiti. They took over the finances. They took over the customs. They took over the government. Citibank had invested 10% in Haiti's banking and had invested in docks and railway, and they used that as a justification to invade Haiti, pretending that they had interests to protect in Haiti. So the dismantlement, they are dismantling the Haitian society, its political system, its economic system, and its social system to serve the purpose, to be open up to the market, to free market, so that foreign products would invade the nation. Haitian will not have the opportunity to work the fields and grow their own food. They will not have the opportunity to own land. They will not have any self-determination, any right to food security, because now Haiti will become a a colonial outpost where all decision making will be made by outsiders, not not by Haitian elected officials. So, we are looking at let's say we look at the last president, Jovenel Moïse, who came into power in 2017 and was to his mandate would expire February 21. And of course, there was a ballot dispute during that time. And he didn't really take office the following year. But in the Constitution, it says even though if there's a dispute, the presidency begins the following February, which would have been 17, and he is to leave office the 21. So as his constitutional mandate expired on February 7th, The following day, this is to prove how they already the recolonization and taking over of Haitian land started way before 2021. Uh, the following day, February 7th, his mandate expired. On February 8th, Jovenel Moïse gifted 8,600 hectares of the country's agricultural land to reserve to produce stevia, a main ingredient for Coca-Cola in its zero sugar beverages, and then also added $18 million for a new free agro industrial zone. And this was published in the Le Monitor. The land that was gifted to this company in Haiti, owned by a gentleman named Andre Abed, is located in Savan-Dion, which is an outskirt of Haiti's capital. And that land has been used by the Haitian peasant and the Haitian farmers for the past 200 years to grow sugarcane. And also, it is the best land to grow sugarcane, where you have a consortium of Haitian farmers that produce and distribute an overproof rum called Clairin to the domestic market. So indeed, it provides financial assistance. It provides economic lifeline to the country. It's also part of the agriculture production, where it benefits the people in Haiti, not foreign entities. Now, in that frame, U.S. had been pressuring Haiti to provide different parcels of land to designate as a free zone to develop international businesses without the consent of the residents and farmers, and in many different areas outside of the Port-au-Prince. During this neoliberal conversion, majority of the Haitian assets were discounted and handed out to different different actors on the ground. The group of people that are controlling the economy are not Haitian descendant. We have a group of Arabs that are probably about 12, 13 of them that control the banking system, the agriculture system, the markets, production, car dealership, and so on. And they are the ones that have been inheriting public land coming from the peasants. And the peasants have been complaining about this social inequality that keeps on developing each subsequent year that U.S. enters Haiti. There is always a displacement, a dispossession, and then land restructuring. The U.S. had made a lot of political gesture to prevent those Haitians to protest against this unfair business practice. In what I've also discovered is the relationship between the African in the Americas with the relationship with the Europeans. I go back to the 19th century, where I discovered that racism was a structuring element in international relations, which continue to today. However, the racist element is most subtle and expressed in the restrictions of access to economic development, self-rule, and self-determination. The claim to allow the Haitian to choose their own leader will be uttered 100 times, but the backdoor dealings and agreements as who is selected by the by the Western powers to subvert the right to self-determination is also present in Haitian politics. Ricardo Sittenfist wrote a book after the 2011 election where Martelly was elected. In that book, he outlined how Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State at the time, Edmund Mullet, who also was UN Peacekeeping Mission Director, and a host of Haitians who literally deliberately changed the 2000 election results to advance Martelly as the winner of that election. So, in fact, Haitians have not been able to fully exercise their voting right to elect the leader that will see to the benefits, that will see that the economic policies that are implemented in the country will benefit the people. However, this was done because Bill Clinton, since he left the U.S. presidency, Haiti became his uh, uh, personal property, personal uh, um, concentration in developing and implementing the neoliberal policies, which was introduced in the US by Margaret Thatcher under Reagan in the 1980s. Under the neoliberal policies and the racialized capitalism, Haitians have faced a lot of racialized hostilities by the Western powers seeking to recolonize the nation. We can see today that much of the country is being handed over to a supposedly that they will tell you a civil society, but it's headed by the Arab oligarchs that were selected to undertake the neoliberal policies introduced by Bill Clinton in 2004 after the ousting of Jean-Bertrand Aristide. But before they ousted Jean-Bertrand Aristide, they coerced him into disbanding the army. They coerced him into privatizing Teleco, which was a state-owned operating telecommunication system. They also coerced him into privatizing the cement, which was Ciment d'Haïti. We have all the resources to produce the cement. Now they privatized the cement and they shipped it out, I think, to Mexico or Dominican Republic. I'm not sure, but I would have to look into that. Also, after the 1986 departure of Jean-Claude Duvalier, the US started implementing its neoliberal policies. But it really started in 1978 when USAID demanded the Haitian government to eradicate its Creole pig. The Creole pig was the piggy bank of 80% of the Haitian population. Almost every household in Haiti had one pig or up to 60 pigs. The Haitians population was handed the ones, they killed after they eradicated the Creole pigs. They gave them $5 per pig, and they claimed that the pigs were only giving one birth, one offspring at a time, which was a lie. And it was a misrepresentation of the Creole pigs' ability to repopulate, because at best they were repopulating either 3 to 7 piglets. So that was the first economic coup that Haiti suffered that year, because when they eradicated the Creole pigs, it removed $600 million from the Haitian economy. And that $600 million, you can see that it is capital investment, because the Creole pigs was sold, but it was never, before it was sold, it always had offspring, and the offspring will grow to give birth to more pigs. And then the peasants would use the funds for their economic needs, for economic development. They built houses. They send their children to school. They paid for doctors' fees. They paid for baptism. There was an article that reported that the Haitian economy at that time recirculated in the country 100 times before the currency, before one good, which was at that time equivalent to 5 goods to $1. Before it left the country, it circulated 100 times. So, which means that Haiti was a closed economy. And of course, we know the capitalist system doesn't accept closed economies. They don't explain it like that. They would never explain it like that, because if they did, then we would understand why they are invading Haiti, because they want to restructure the economy to service the capitalist system and to take away the ability for the Haitian people to provide for themselves. And it was an informal economy at the time. During 2003, the US, France, Canada, OAS, which is Organization of American States, they met in Canada and they formed this group called the Core Group, that would oversee the political system and the economic development, supposedly the economic development of Haiti. That we know today, the Haiti has no economy at all. It's completely dependent on aid and international support. That group, the Core Group, now from under Martelly, from 2004 all the way to Jovenel Moïse, you kept hearing about the Core Group making decisions on behalf of Haiti. The Core Group wants this, the Core Group wants that. The Core Group is making this decision for Haiti. The Core Group. So, in fact, Haiti hasn't had a real president managing, administering domestic, local affairs on behalf of its electorate. And these type of political decisions or policies, because they are policies that are being taken on behalf of another nation, are not explained in the Western narratives. What we hear is that Haiti has problems. The Haitian people cannot manage themselves. The Haitian people cannot rule themselves. The Haitian people do not have an economy. The Haitian people are dependent. We know that all the way up until the first 10 years of the 21st century, Haiti was producing 95% of its domestic consumption. The population was, I think, had reached about 7 million. During the Jean-Claude Duvalier era, the population was about 3 million. And 80% of the population was working in agriculture. So, in other words, what does that mean? It means that Haitian people were able to provide a meal for themselves. They were self-sufficient in food production. They had self-sufficiency in food security. And when the first stage to destroying the economy of Haiti was the eradication of the Creole pigs, now 2004, 2003, 2004, 2005, we have Bill Clinton in Haiti demanding the replaced president that replaced Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was Gérard Latorture, the prime minister, and Boniface Alexandre, who was appointed by the National Assembly. Gérard Latorture, the US demanded, Bill Clinton personally demanded Gérard Latorture to reduce the tariff on the rice from 35% to 3%, which is the lowest in the Caribbean islands. There are other nation islands that are exporting rice, and their tariff is at 15%, 20%, something like that. But Haiti's rice was forced to reduce tariff to 3%. And the next thing that happened is the Arkansas, who was a donor to Bill Clinton's campaign donation, and Miami rice just flooded Haiti, and that destroyed the rice market. So that was the second stage in destroying the Haitian economy, making it hard for the average Haitian to feed itself. Then you come to understand that when these policies are implemented in the country and there is no one to fight back, the government is powerless to explain to the Americans that if we reduce the tariff on the rice, we have a large population of rice farmers that will go out of business. And these rice farmers have families to feed. So when they go out of business, how are we supposed to recompensate, or how are we supposed to help them go back into some sort of farming activities? Well, it's not their concern. They always say that it's not their concern. So now you have the pigs that are destroyed, eradicated. You have Haitian rice farming that is destroyed. So now you have a population that is entering a poverty level that it has never faced before. Even right after slavery, the Haitian population, or the majority of Haitians, were working the farms. The government had to enforce the rule to have the majority of the rural communities to work the farm in order to have capital to pay the debt that was imposed on Haiti by France. So now, facing these two devastating economic destructions, and yet you have a prime minister that was appointed, and he was not ratified by parliament. So the sovereignty of Haiti is being undermined. Parliament is the sovereign representation of the Haitian people. That is your legislative representative. That is your democratic representation. And once your parliament is made powerless to make decisions on behalf of its people, then now the sovereignty of that nation is on the verge of being erased. And when we look at today that Haiti doesn't have a parliament, Haiti doesn't have an elected president, Haiti doesn't have a judiciary branch. So in fact, the state has collapsed. But we must ask, how did that happen? Why? Who actually conspired to allow the state to be unable to hold elections to replace the parliament members? Why? These are the questions that a lot of people refuse to ask. But I, as a curious geopolitical analyst, and I go beyond what is written in Western narrative, I go deep into why the state of Haiti has collapsed to the point where we do not have a legal governmental representative to represent the state in the international community. So the first thing I came across is the first policy that was being imposed on Haiti started under President Martelly when he was supposed to hold midterm elections in 2012. Bill Clinton was in Haiti at that time. He was managing the country with Martelly. After the earthquake, he went to Haiti. He went before Parliament. He asked Parliament to elect him president interim of Haiti. Parliament members refused because they said, according to the Constitution, you have to be a Haitian born, you have to have, 5-year residence in the country, and so on and so forth. So he didn't like that. When midterm elections came in 2012, he told Martelly not to hold elections. I know that for a fact. He told Martelly not to hold elections, and then the U.S. withheld funding for the elections. And he had Martelly speak in the media saying that the parliament members refused to ratify economic development programs that were introduced, at Parliament. And but that is not the case, because if we go back in 1915, when U.S. invaded Haiti, we had a parliament. The president was assassinated, and the president was selected by Parliament, and the general was Smutley Butler. He handed the Parliament a constitution that was written by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in 1913. It's a long, long story, but I'm going to try to make it short so that we can get to today as to what policies were implemented to destroy the state. So when the general gave the Constitution written by Roosevelt to the president Duganov at that time, he presented the Constitution to the Parliament members, and then they read it. But the U.S. did not expect that the legislative body would take time to read the Constitution, because of course they thought of Negroes reading and speaking French. It's absurd. It's unthinkable. It's unimaginable. But yet they read the Constitution, and in the Constitution it was providing Americans the right to own property in the country. And in our 1804 Constitution, it prohibited any foreigners from owning the right to land ownership, because our president at that time, or our king, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, he said that the reason they were able to enslave us is because they have the right to the land. And if we are going to stop them from re-enslaving us, we cannot allow them to own our land. So we had it in our Constitution that foreigners cannot own the land in Haiti anymore. So now here we go. We have a new Constitution written by Roosevelt that gave the Americans the right to own the lands. So the Parliament members refused to ratify that Constitution, 1915 Constitution. And what happened? The general and the State Department told the president to dissolve Parliament. So the Parliament was let go in 1915. Haiti had no parliament for 10 years. And the Haitian people fought for their parliament members to return by 1929. They fought very hard because they knew in order for them to have protection for their sovereignty, it was imperative that the parliament was reinstated. So it makes sense when Bill Clinton, who is a Wilsonian descendant, while he was in Haiti managing the country with Martelly, would re-implement the same policy to destroy Haiti's parliament.
Rosi, if you want, we can actually hold here and we can open the floor
I'm
for
sorry.
contributions. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. You know, who feels it knows it. So what we will do at this time is we will just open the floor for comments. Yeah, we'll give Rosi a little moment um to compose herself. And we really appreciate your sharing from the heart. I mean,
What we are seeing is a pattern
yeah,
that began in 1915. Even though they are blaming the Haitians for not having a parliament, but it's not the Haitians who disbanded their parliament. It's international community meddling in Haitian political affairs that literally disbanded parliament again one more time in the 21st century to be experiencing the same thing again. It just makes absolutely no sense. And that tells you how racialized the international community is in addressing the needs and
okay. So let me bring in Lloyd Taylor. You wanna start off the bowling? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're on mute, Lloyd.
We'll just start with frankly. Wanted to start off by thanking her for Rosie, yeah? Rosie, so much Rosie. Thanking her for the short and brief introduction to the Haitian crisis and how it has been sustained over many decades.
Centuries.
Okay. Certainly if we talk from 1950.
No, it started from 1804.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. Argument here. Would you like to develop for us how the various strands in the collapse of the organs of government and the yeah, how the what events or what policies were used to collapse the organs of government.
Yes.
And the political system, starting of course with the issue of elections, the issue of raising the electorate from the time of Aristide,
Yes.
the destruction of the National Assembly by not allowing votes, voting to take place on a regular basis.
Yes.
And the which left the only operative organ as the president, and then you confound that issue by getting appointed rather than elected presidents. You get appointed presidents who themselves further dismantled the organs of government, including the attack by Juvenal Moise on the
judiciary branch. Yes. Yes. So I've made a connection how during the first US occupation of 1915, though Wilson claimed that it was restoring order, if you are truly restoring order in the nation, you are not going to disband its parliament because that is part of the democratic system that you are trying to supposedly establish or reinforce. Now it shows a contradiction in the version that is given in the United States and what is really taking place on the ground. And during that time, they also, not only did they took the coffers of the government, you know, the banking system, they re-enslaved the Haitians. They literally re-enslaved the Haitians. They killed over 3,000, but they said 3,000, but it was over 15,000. They assassinated a political opponent who was trying, Charmaine Peral, who opposed the presence of the military, you know, in the country. So now, so I wanted to point out the contradiction in the narrative that is presented in the United States and then what is really happening on the ground. By disbanding the parliament, the Haitian parliament, it showed that you had contempt for the democratic system that was being implemented, that was being exercised by the parliament, because they had a right not to ratify that constitution, because there were articles and laws that would be applied to the nation that would be devastating to the population. So you deny them while you're saying you restoring order and you are going to protect democracy, the rule of law, but you denied the Haitian the right to exercise their laws. This is what really, I think, infuriated the Haitian people by 1928, you know, before Parliament was reinstated. And then, of course, from 1929 to 1934, you know, there was the negotiation to, you know, expel the occupation from the country. Okay, so now we know that Parliament that was just disbanded started in 2012 as Clinton was running the country with Martelly. You know, they were collecting a lot of donations to rebuild the country after the earthquake. Everybody's eyes was on Haiti. We are going to rebuild the country better. And, well, the country is still in shambles, in rubbles, in worse shape than it was in 2012. Martelly, we know, was catapulted to the presidency by Hillary Clinton, who changed the results. Again, that is denying the Haitian people the right to self-determination. By 2016, another election had to be, the presidential election had to be, they had to conduct the presidential election. So they had no choice but to hold the presidential election because they wanted to show this semblance of political stability and democratic transition from one president to another. So Jovenel Moïse was selected, and Jovenel Moïse was placed in power. I'm not sure that he really was elected, but they said there was only 21% participation. He only had 21% vote. That was the highest vote. So he was elected president. So 2017, he is in office, and 2018 he has to hold election again. So 1/3 of parliament members left in 2012 because elections were not held and their mandate expired. So now we don't have a quorum. We don't have a quorum. And then in 2018, we have another. I was in Haiti at that time. I assisted everything that was happening. I was there. 2018, 2019, from 2013 all the way up to 2021, I was in Haiti. So 2018, every time there was a discussion for elections, midterm elections, to replace the first third that left, and then the second third that's about to leave, you had a lot of manifestations, you had a lot of disagreements, you had a lot of disputes, you had a lot of back and forth. The president protests on the streets. We cannot hold elections because of the protests. People are getting killed. Now, by this time, we had some gangs that were kind of like springing up, but it was not all over the capital as it is now. You know, because I was there, I was able to survive. I didn't run into gangs like that. I was functioning. I was going out at night. So there was peace in the capital. The gangs were outside of the capital. They were marching coming into the capital. So in 2018, Jovenel did not hold elections again. So a second third of the parliament members, their mandate expired. So they had to leave. There was discussion as to extending. Well, we cannot extend because it's not part of the Constitution. It's not in the Constitution to keep them, so they have to go. Now, 18, 19, 20, 21. His mandate is expiring. Jovenel's mandate is expiring. They showed no sign as having another election. The Electoral Provisional Council was disbanded as well, claiming corruption, dispute among the members. And in February of that year, Jovenel started attacking the members of the judiciary branch, which was kind of weird, because we had 12 members of the judicial body, and we had a senior member named Renee, and we had a second senior named Wendell Cork, who was a female, and we had a third who was named Brazil, Judge de Brazil. He took Jovenel on his own accord, decided to retire 4 or 5 of the members of the Supreme Court without any justification. And you have to go before Parliament in order to ask or request for retirement, whether it's for age related or whatever the issue is. You have to go to Parliament to request retirement of the members of the Supreme Court. No, he did not do that. He simply decided to take a bill. He wrote a bill and he retired them. So now you had a defunct Supreme Court because you don't have 12 members of the Supreme Court that can make decisions on behalf of the country. At the same token, within, I think, a week or so, he arrested another judge, claiming that the judge was about to exact a coup d'etat against him. So that was another member of the Supreme Court that was being pushed out. And then the 5th or 6th member was also accused of participating in overthrowing him as well. So while there was no parliament elections taking place in the past 6 years, 7 years, now you're attacking the Supreme Court, members of the Supreme Court. You are dismantling, while you are dismantling the Supreme Court, you also making it impossible for the Parliament to hold quorum and to have elections to be able to ratify any decision, treaties, commercial decision. We can go back to 2012. In 2012, the Constitution was amended under Martelly, and it changed quite a few of the laws. One law that was changed was the presidential vacancy would go to the Supreme Court, a neutral body, and that would replace the president, which was done several times before. When they amended the Constitution in 2012, they replaced the presidential vacancy with the Council of Ministers. This is consolidation of power. So now you did not have to go to the Supreme Court to replace to have a replacement, which would be the most senior member of the Supreme Court would replace the president. Now the president would automatically be replaced by the prime minister, but the prime minister had to be ratified by the parliament. Now we had no parliament, we have no quorum, so we cannot ratify any prime minister. So from I think he had like 3 or 4 different prime ministers, all the way up until a temporary replacement who was called Joseph. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Joseph. Claude Joseph. So you have so the Constitution was amended, and in those articles that they were amending, when they replaced the presidential vacancy from the Supreme Court to Council of Ministers, at the same token, they had 2 separate articles that were in the Constitution, which was not being discussed, but now it appeared in the proposed Constitution that Jovenel Moise presented for referendum. And in the new clause were that they were reducing the power of the parliament. The parliament no longer, and they could not pass that. That would never pass in Haiti. Parliament members now no longer had authority to ratify any international commercial contracts. It would not go through ratification in front of Parliament. They changed it and put it in the Council of Ministries, where they would form a subcommittee of 5 members, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, and then 3 members of Parliament would form that committee that would authorize all commercial transactions that are taking place in the country. Again, that's violating the democratic representation of the nation. It is violating what you call legislative representative of the nation. It also violates the sovereignty of the nation, because now you only allow 5 people to determine what commercial transactions are coming into the country, whereas it's supposed to be ratified in front of Parliament so that the entire country participate in those commercial contracts that are being negotiated with foreigners.
So Rosie, I'm going to take a moment to stop here
Yes.
and ask if there's anyone on the floor who has a question, who has a comment, who wants to make a contribution at this time. Okay, well,
I would like to say that Trinbago is nice. We are so fortunate. That is all I will say.
I think so one of the things that we could take lessons from is that if we don't take stock of what we are doing here and how we manage our global relationships, that we could have you know that intrusion creeping up on us in different ways. It may not be as extreme, but certainly there are threats. So it's good to hear from others to see, if we recognize where else is it happening within our space.
Dr. Angus, good night. Good night, everyone. There's a saying, when your neighbor house on fire,
With your own.
wet yours. No, I'm really tempted to ask the presenter to give some data to kind of focus the presentation. But my understanding is that because Haiti is so chaotic, it's difficult to even get the data because the country is not operational, or I should say fully operational. So all the arms of government are not in operation.
No.
Right. But what I would like to get is one, a response not only from you, but also from the Haitian diaspora. So I would like if you can, tell me if there are other Haitians doing what you are doing. Because I would like to also hear from them, hear their responses. Because I believe speaking, or rather hearing from the Haitian diaspora, I can gauge if they even care about their country. I firmly believe that the Haitian diaspora are best positioned to resuscitate their country, because if the Haitians on the ground aren't doing it, I think the Haitian diaspora on the outside is best positioned to do that. And though the presentation is pulling on my heartstrings, I am asking myself, Akil, why should I care? I am not a Haitian. I am sympathetic to what is taking place, but some kind of real action is needed. And I am here sitting thinking to myself, the Haitian diaspora is best positioned to.
Thank you, Akil.
We lost
Yes, we lost him, but you can go ahead and respond.
well, Haitian are fighters. Haitians are proud people, despite what is written about Haitians being incompetent or unable to manage their own affairs. It's just not true. The fact is, since Haiti has gained its independence, it has never been allowed to manage its political affairs. It has never been able to develop its social, cultural society, even though under Papa Doc, François Duvalier, and Jean-Claude Duvalier, there was a lot of economic progress made in Haiti. As I said before, Haiti was self-sufficient in food production. 80% of the population was working in agriculture. If 80% of your population has a means of financial support, they have economic activities, that means that you are not going to be living in poverty. You may not have wealth, but the basic fundamental needs, you would be able to satisfy that. Well, that was deliberately taken away from the Haitian people by these foreign policies that were being implemented. At the same token, there are a lot of Haitians here in the diaspora. They lobby Washington, but they are not being heard. One of the reasons they're not being heard because the oligarchs in Haiti, they have more money. They have the millions. They hire the lobby firms to push their own agenda. And also we have the agenda of the Western societies that will not allow Black people to advance to full sovereignty. People may think, well, it's not my country, I don't care. Well, as long as you are part of the African society, as long as you are you have a legacy of African in you, then if not you today, if it's not you today, but tomorrow it'll be you. We can see it happening in the European, in Eastern Europe. If we are part of the entire global system, we could see how the Eastern European nations are under attack because they want to bring them into the neo-colonial system. They were part of the Soviet Union, so it was a Soviet economic structure. Now they want them under the capitalist system. So this is why you see all this unrest in Eastern Europe. You got Moldova, you have Azerbaijan, you have Ukraine. Ukraine is being used as a proxy to dismantle, to break down, to balkanize Russia, because Russia is one of the main European, it stands, West Europe and East Europe and Asia as well, and it has never been colonized, and it's been fighting for centuries, over 600, 700 centuries. The Russians have been fighting the Europeans not to allow them to colonize them because they have the largest country in the world, and yet they have the most resources in Europe. So it's not to say, well, it's not me, so I don't have to sympathize. Well, the idea of the colonial mentality, it has never ended. It will never stop until we decide to stop it. This is why you have the BRICS system that is rising now. You have China that is standing and that always talks about the 100-year of humiliation when they were colonized by England and then US and then Japan and then Russia was part of it too. Now today you have China as the second largest economy in the world, and yet it is being attacked by the Americans. When Trump sits in his Oval Office behind his desk and he says, well, we want China to open up its market. What does that mean? It means I want to colonize China. I don't want the Chinese people to own their economy. I don't want the Chinese people to become the #1 economy of the world. So it means that all of us are victims of this colonial system. We cannot just sit there and say, well, it's not happening to me, therefore I don't have to care. Well, we do have to care.
Okay, so
right?
Rosie, thank you for that response. I think I'm going to ask Prof. Hamilton. I see you on with us. Thank you for being here tonight. Prof. Hamilton is from Jamaica, and I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on what you heard tonight?
My heart bleeds for Haitians. It's a very painful subject for me all the time. And I know we recently grappled with hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Hold a sec, all right, there may be some background noise. Let me see if I can.
I think one of our participants was,
Okay.
his mic was open. So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. We recently had to, battle with our own government about returning Haitians to Haiti, the Haitians that fled. And, I and a couple of us were advocating and working with Malaine, Aleni, and others, trying to provide. So it is very difficult, and in a sense, we feel almost helpless. We've been part of trying to pull a kind of Caribbean concerned citizens, civil society kind of response to at least help refugees, because that we can do in our respective countries, at least partially. Obviously the governments have the big say, and as has happened in Jamaica, they've returned them. But for those who stayed, we are able to, and we were able to mount a fight, and we were able to keep some of them in Jamaica, and we were able to support them, mobilize civil society support. The political engagement to solve that problem just seemed completely overwhelming. And I listened carefully in terms of, what next, where do we go, and how can we help? And so perhaps some perspectives from our guest would be useful, how can we help? Let me just share with you, within my own sphere, we are organizing a Caribbean Philanthropic Alliance conference in Jamaica. And we're working closely with some Haitians as well, and we'll be making awards. I think we can say it now to a Haitian. More, I think at least 2 Haitians will get some awards. And we really want to do this to recognize the unsung heroes in Haiti, especially the women fighters over those decades, centuries, that has been, involved actively in this fight. So, when I listened tonight, I felt, yes, it's a small piece, it's a small contribution, but it's something that certainly I can do and we can do to express solidarity and support for the efforts that have been ongoing. So I would just like to hear some more perspectives on, just how can we help?
Thank you, Prof. Rosie?
Yes. Well, I think we have to refuse to participate in this new invasion and occupation that they want for Haiti. I've read a document some time ago where it says that Haiti should relinquish 50 years of its sovereignty. When you read things like that, you'd be like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Why? And then you have Washington Post sometimes that come out with different articles. Well, we know that the International Committee has been in Haiti before, and they've never come up with good results, and they don't have good references, so the Haitians don't want them. Now we got to find another country. Why do we have to go through that? Why can't the Haitian people manage their own affairs without the interference of any outsiders? We are capable of managing our own affairs. We have Haitians with double PhD degrees in political science, in different types of profession. We have capable Haitians. Haitian was growing a middle class by the 1980s. And I think this is why they killed the Creole pigs, because the peasants were sending the children to school. We were growing a large doctor profession population. We had lawyers, we had engineers, and the State Department had sent a letter to Jean-Claude Duvalier requesting that he reduces the education budget and the healthcare budget. And he told Duvalier that Haitians did not need to go to school because they were going to be working in factories. These are the things that we don't know and we don't hear about. And in fact, what we can do is we can lobby our government, all of the government during in CARICOM, not to participate. I hear Canada has a military base in Jamaica, and Jamaica is being used as a launching pad to train soldiers that are going to invade Haiti. We have to stop that. Just as we had the 2000 coup, the group, the FRAP, the group that conducted the coup d'etat against Aristide, they were trained in Dominican Republic. We cannot participate in this type of anti-Blackness, anti-African freedom, anti-African sovereignty We cannot participate, because if we participate, we are the black, we have the skin color. We are used to stand against our own people, to oppress our own people. So the white stands behind us now and sends us in the forefront to go and do their dirty work, to conduct their dirty activities. And we take pride in that. How do we do that and live with ourselves? We have Belize that is supposed to be training soldiers to go invade Haiti. Why isn't that? I think the best thing that could be done now to counter what is being done, the neo-colonial agenda that is about to be implemented in Haiti, is to demand elections, regardless of the gang activities in Haiti. Demand elections. Okay, we will take a donation to conduct the elections and we elect our own president. We don't need the American to finance our elections. We don't need the Canadian to finance our elections. We don't need the French to finance our own elections. We want to finance our own elections, because that's when you will be able to take your sovereignty into your own hands. Privatization is another neo-colonial agenda. They want you to privatize everything in your country, your hotels, your ports, your roads, your agriculture. If you have millions of people working in the agriculture now, they want one corporation to come in and take all those people off the land that are mining, that are growing food. What are you going to do with them? When you remove them off the land, what is the alternative? That's what Bill Clinton said. He said he was sorry that he destroyed the rice. Of course, he wasn't sorry, but he just said it, because he's a crook. He also said, well, we were industrializing Haiti. No, you were never industrializing Haiti, because you never wanted to provide jobs for the Haitian people. If you wanted to provide jobs, you would not have taken the jobs that we already provided to ourselves. We didn't wait for them to bring us the agriculture. We were the agrarians. We were the farmers. And we took pride in that. So the what can be done is to stand up and say, why? First of all, you have to ask the question, and you want somebody to tell you, to give you the answer. You want the ambassador. The U.S. ambassador at the embassy in Jamaica, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Barbados, in St. Vincent. They try to get St. Vincent to go and invade Haiti. What is this about? We need to speak to one another and ask, why are we allowing our neighbors, our compatriots, our sisters and brothers to be treated this way? Once they are satisfied with what they will do to Haiti, you don't think they're going to come to you? They are going to come to you, because they want the whole planet. They want to dominate the entire world. It's not just Haiti they want to dominate. They want to dominate the entire world. So which means when we realize what is happening in one country, the same thing that is being done in Palestine. What do you think is being done in Palestine? It's 1492 in Palestine. And now they tell you, we want them off the land. We want the land. We are going to settle on the land. We are going to build Riviera on the land. What did the Palestinian people do to deserve being expelled off their land? We see it happening throughout the world, but we tend to be satisfied in our own world. And since it's not happening to me, I don't need to do anything about it. I think we all have responsibility to make sure that we stop the advancement of the colonial system. We did it. It's in the UN Charter, 1960, decolonization of the African people, of Black people, of colonized people. Well, why is Haiti still under colonization? Why does Haiti have to have international corporations on its territory? Why can't Haitians have their own corporations? Why can't we build our own roads? Why can't we build our own hospitals? The domestic economy is what feeds a national economy. When you take the domestic economy from a nation, well, you destroy its national economy. We have to stop that from happening. I read several times about Jamaica, how Jamaica is almost completely privatized. You have the Chinese on one side and you have the American corporations on the other side. We have Jamaicans that are protesting some of the policies that are being implemented vis-a-vis their land, removing their land, the mining activities. They cannot plant their food. They cannot live on their land. They have to move because of the toxic environment, that is caused by the mining activities. They never offer any alternative. We don't mind if Haiti opens up its territory for development, but we want it to be inclusive. We want to be part of the activities. We don't want to be the passive, watching, witnessing everybody else getting wealthy. Meanwhile, this is our resources. As a matter of fact, Haiti paid for the land. When you pay, which means that the Haitian people bought that land. That is a sovereign land owned by the Haitian people. No one on this planet has any right to that land. They could write it on 10 million pieces of paper. It will still not give them the right. If you are looking at the right to ownership, when a person purchases a piece of land, that land belongs to them. The only time they can dispose of that land is if they sell it. Well, Haitian has not decided to sell their land to anybody. The resources on the land belongs to Haitians. I think we agree on that. We are the only people on this planet who stood proudly and said, okay, you want us to pay for our freedom? We will. You want us to pay for the land we live on? We will. So why is it today we are being persecuted on our land that we purchased? I think a lot of people don't understand that part, that transactional transfer that took place between France. And even though the land did not belong to France, because they did not buy it from the Tainos, from the indigenous Indians, we were kidnapped. We were free people, kidnapped, brought to another country, forced into captivity, forced to work for free for centuries. And then when we decided we did not want to work, we did not want to remain in captivity, we fought for our freedom. And after we gained that fight, then we had to pay twice. We paid for our freedom twice. So there is absolutely no laws, no international law that gives anyone, not the Americans, not the Canadians, not the French, the right to Haitians' land. We know it. We just don't exercise it. We don't speak about it. There are no laws. International law doesn't give the Americans any right to Haiti. The Vienna Convention, the UN Charter. No, it says all states are equal. That's what the UN Charter says. All states are equal. Why is Haiti being supplanted? Why is Haiti has to subordinate? Why Haiti has to lose its statehood? Why Haiti has to lose its sovereignty? This is the question we have to dare to ask that question, because it does affect all of us. It's not just Haiti. It's not just the Haitians. Today it's the Haitians. These colonizers are meant to survive for centuries. If they are going to survive for centuries, they are creeping up as they go along so that they can ensure their survival. Today is Haitian. Tomorrow it's going to be another. And as a matter of fact, I do believe, and I think I've read where, the US is advancing into the Caribbean islands because they want to push all the Europeans out of the Caribbean islands. The US bought Virgin Islands from the Dutch, and also they gained another part of the islands from England after World War II. And now they want the entire island. They want the whole West Indies. They want to control the entire West Indies. They don't want any competitors. They don't want no Europeans, no Dutch, no French, Saint Martin, Saint Nevis, Saint Kitts. They don't want the Europeans there. They are coming. They are going to come to you at some point. Biden had a summit in 2014, a Caribbean Energy Summit. I don't know if you're aware of that summit. And in that summit, he was promising energy security to the Caribbean islands. How was he going to provide that energy security to the islands? Where was he going to get it from? He cannot build a pipeline from America. I guess you could say New Orleans is across, right? He's not going to build a pipeline from New Orleans to reach, the outer skirt of the islands. No. They want to build pipelines in Haiti using Haiti oil and Haiti gas to provide energy to the entire islands, to the West Indies, so that they would have a greater access to the West Indies, and then to be able to push the Europeans out. That's what they're doing in West Africa. US is pushing France out of West Africa and then bringing themselves in. In 1960, US was behind the decolonization of African people because they didn't want to go into a war with the Europeans in Africa. So they had to, find a different way to get the Europeans out of Africa. And now that the only remaining colonial power in Africa is France. So now they're pushing France out. They are colluding with, nationals on the ground and using different types of insecurity, terrorists to get France out of Africa. They're going to do the same thing in the Caribbean islands. Even if it's 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now. It's taking them 200 years to bring Haiti to the state that it is today. And the islands, remember, the nations on the islands are still in the Commonwealth. The King of England is still the sovereign state, or recognized as the sovereign representative. So it's easy for them to come in and remove the king and then take over the islands and claim the islands as their own, just like they did Puerto Rico, Florida, and the Philippines. When they were fighting the Spanish in Philippines, the Philippines thought they were going to get their independence after they won the war. They recolonized Philippines. Until 1940, the Filipinos had to kick the Americans out. We have to read history. We have to read international history so that we understand the mindset, the colonial system, how it will never end until we decide to end it ourselves.
Okay, so thank you.
I think I said too much.
Well, there's a lot to be said, eh? And a lot
Oh,
to do.
we're talking about 800 years of experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We are one generation of that 800-year generations that have, experienced the colonial system. And I think now we have more information at
Can I
our
say something?
disposal to better
go ahead.
understand, right, Lloyd?
Yes,
Oh, I
go
was going to
ahead.
ask if I can say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
Just to mention observation, which is that so few people are participating, which is quite unusual. I don't know what's the cause of that, but I'd like you to encourage people to a little more aggressively, maybe, to respond. But I guess you can't force people.
Okay, so I see Karen is on with us tonight. Karen, what's your response to what you've heard?
Yeah, good night, everybody. Haiti has been a very sad story for me. And listening to the sister tonight concretizes in my head that something has to be done about Haiti. Help has to come from somewhere. And the best place that I think it could come from is from both the Haitian diaspora and the African diaspora all over the world. I think one of the main things about the whole situation of Haiti is that Haiti has a very special mineral that is very useful to the rest of the world. And I think that mineral is found only in Haiti and in South Africa. It is not by accident that there is that interest in keeping Haiti the way it is, because in doing so, what happens is that the exploitation of the mineral becomes very much easier. So we actually dealing not so much with political sovereignty or anything like that and colonialism. What we're dealing with is greed, pure, naked, unadulterated greed.
True.
And the sooner we recognize all over the world, the sooner we recognize the need, and that's the African diaspora, they need to band together and begin to resist and begin to get rid of the oppression that is directed at us, the better it will be for us. And we need to find ways and means of organizing to do it. I am seeing that breakdown of structure of law and order, and so in Haiti, as similar. It has a link, it has a connection to what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time with the security threat. Because nature always moves in to fill a vacuum. And in our judicial system in Trinidad and Tobago, there is a vacuum. The judicial system is not working, it has broken down. When you have to wait 7 years in remand yard for your matter to call, or you're on bail for 7 years, and then the matter is now being called after 7 years as if it is just starting, and all this time you have to be paying the lawyers and all of that. And then when they tell you that the matter is about to start after 7 and 8 years, now you have to start paying lawyers more money and all of that. So what is going on in our prison system is a revolt against that kind of thing. So there is a kind of similarity in the whole situation. There's a link, and we have to make those linkages. And if we continue to allow our business, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, in Haiti and all over the world, and all over the African world, if we continue to allow our business to go awry, we're going to have chaos, we're going to have confusion, and those who seek to oppress us will always be capitalizing on the chaos so that they can get out of our countries what they want to get to feed their greed and to feed their people and to feed their pockets. That's my point of view.
Economic power protects the political power. And it's so funny you talked about the mineral that is in Haiti that is found in Africa, in South Africa.
Cobalt,
And
is it?
no, it's iridium.
Iridium
that can build spacecraft.
Iridium.
Iridium. And under Martelly, after the 2012 amendment, constitutional amendment, also the World Bank took charge to write Haiti's mining laws.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
They took it upon themselves. Somebody, I don't know who gave them the authority. We can't give them, and we're not going to give them authority to write our mining laws. They started writing the mining laws in 2012. And the peasants, we have one NGO, Haitian NGO organization called Collective Justice. They went as far as hiring global attorneys, international attorneys. There's a group of attorneys in Harvard and another group in NYU that are working with the peasants in Haiti. I will send you these documents. And they've taken it up with the World Bank, and they told the World Bank, you cannot write a mining laws for Haiti, number one, because Haiti have lawyers and they should be able to write their own mining laws. Second, while they are writing the mining laws, in the World Bank articles, you have to contact the people who are living on the land that would be affected by the mining activities. Well, they never contacted any Haitian. The reason that the Haitians know that there is some sort of mining activities is because it's in their backyard. They wake up in the morning and there's a big hole in the backyard. So they're digging at night. So they were taking to the streets around 2012, 2013, 2014. You had one island called Île La Vache. That island was being, turned upside down. They were arresting the residents who were protesting, taking, displacing them off their land. Oh, we're going to build, high rises. We're going to build hotels. You cannot do it like that. If they were to build houses, then it doesn't have to be nice houses, big houses. It just has to be a structure where the people have, running water. They have a kitchen. They have a bedroom where they can sleep. A common area where they can socialize. You can do that. They have containers that you can make, into houses now, right? Why can't you do that? You want to remove the people off their land? Well, build alternative housing conditions for them and say, okay, we are going to use the land, whatever, if you call it common use. They have a law for that. I forgot. Eminent domain. If you declare the land eminent domain, well, you have to compensate the people. They refuse to compensate the Haitian people. They keep thinking that the Haitian people are nothing but dirt. You have, the Haitian people in the United States are so successful. You have to ask yourself, why the Haitian people, when they move outside of Haiti, they become so successful. You have a large group of Haitian nurses, Haitian doctors, in all the hospitals throughout the country. So why can't they be Haitian doctors, Haitian nurses in their own country? Why can't they be Haitian engineers in their own country? Why can't they be Haitian attorneys in their own country? Why do they have to go outside of their country to survive?
Because the plan is to oppress Black people, African people, everywhere they are found, including Trinidad and Tobago. The thing is that here in Trinidad and Tobago, most African people have not yet recognized what the agenda is. But we keep hearing that we are at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder, and we don't try to analyze what we're doing there, how we got there, who put us there, and all of those kinds of things. So as long as we remain as African people, as long as we remain, should I say, ignorant, as long as we remain indifferent, as long as we remain
passive,
caring and passive,
yeah,
they are going to be able to do whatever they want with us. And they are doing what they want with us. And we run behind them and we say they're great and they yeah, it's an awesome thing that is happening, and it's happening all over the world. And we are not we are not connecting the dots. The day we start to connect the dots, we will understand what is going on with us and what we have to do to get it right. But the world needs to, the African world, the Black world, we need to rally around Haiti. And everywhere we see the oppression raising its head, we need to deal with it. And we are not doing that. So this is a big part of why we're so successful.
Yeah. If one of us is oppressed, it means that all of us
are oppressed.
All of us are oppressed.
That's right.
So it's not just one of us oppressed. Now, I think of Ibrahim Traore, who's spoken several times, and he mentions Haiti, and he says, we are coming to help you. We have not forgotten you. Right. We know if it wasn't for you, we would still be in chains, probably. So, but we have to get our house in order first. So that when we come to you, we don't lose that battle. We don't lose the fight. That we succeed. That's what he said. He said that many times. And every time he's speaking of the colonial system and what it has done to African people, the African continent, and it's not to say we stay in it. We have to know what is being done, what has been done. The question I always ask, and that I interact with my friends and my colleagues, I said, well, they keep calling us inferior, yet everything they need in order to keep up that superiority position they put themselves on, they have to come get it from us. So how is it that they are superior and we are inferior, but yet we possess? So when I look at the whole planet and I see everywhere dark-skinned people or colored people reside, we reside on fertile, rich land. When you look at Europe, Europe has absolutely nothing. Chiani, the president of Mali, of Niger, the president of Niger, the interim president of Niger, who exacted the coup and removed Bazoum, he said when he was responding to Macron, who made a claim that Niger belongs to France.
Hey.
Yes. He made a claim that Niger belongs to France and not the Africans. And Mr. Chiani, General Chiani said, you know, when we were circumnavigating the world, they were in caves eating themselves. Cannibalism. A very smart man. He says, when we were Africans, when we were circumnavigating the world, they were still in caves eating themselves. So they were killing each other and eating each other because they had no food. And that's one of the reasons they left the continent also, because they were starving. They had no food. Yes. So they found us in abundance. But yet we didn't really care for our abundance because it was always there. That is why African people don't have to go anywhere to colonize anybody, to take anything from anybody, because everything we need to survive is there.
Yeah, for us, yeah.
Is there. How can we be so blessed and yet we are so persecuted?
That's because we haven't learned to love each other as we should.
Well, that's a legacy of the captivity. We were in captivity for too long.
Yeah, the day we learn to love each other as we should, things will begin to change, you know?
Yeah, because you can see among themselves, even if they have differences, but if you attack one of them, they all come and support each other. They all come and protect that one. Right? If you attack one European nation, you find all of them come and protect, because they are protecting their own system, the system that benefits them. We need to develop our system and learn and teach our children, our young, and create agents, because I call them colonial agents. I call them facilitators, colonial facilitators. That's what they have. They've created layers of institutions and bureaucratic layers to maintain this colonial system. We have to break that down. I wrote it a little bit, as it was coming to my mind. You have first, you have the institutions that they created, the World Bank, the Bretton Woods system, the World Bank, IMF, and then you have a bunch of other different subcategories. You have NGOs, all there to maintain the colonial system. What do we have to protect against? Right? What do we have to protect against the colonial system? We don't have. We just, well, when it comes to us, that's when we decide how we defend and how we protect. This is how they are able to do these things, because we are not calculating, right? We are not calculating. We don't have a calculated mind. We are not connivers. We don't connive. We are spiritual, peaceful people. We are the only divine beings on this planet that has never killed people for what they have, for what they possess. We are divine. We are divine. We are without the sins that they have committed. Because if you look around, everybody on this planet is a victim of the colonial system, the captivity. I don't call it slavery, because we were not enslaved. We were in captivity. And we had captors, and they kept us in open prison, and they forced us to labor for free. I don't call it slaves. We should not refer to ourselves as former slaves. We were not slaves, but they used the word slaves to whitewash, to make themselves look good, to justify, and to
impose an
purify
identity on us. They imposed an identity on us that we didn't have.
Yes. That's why we were held hostage. We were in captivity. The Haitians, they understood that. One of I think the groups that were part of the Revolutionary War, because the system was so brutal. You know, the captives, they were dying very fast. Like every year they had to replenish them. So the new replenish that they brought, they were very educated Africans, and they refused to live in captivity, and they did not know how the people. That's another thing we have to teach the Africans on the continent what we lived in those 400 years that we lived in captivity. Because they seem to think, oh, it was a playful time. No, it wasn't. So we don't write about that. We let them write about it. We don't tell the story of our captors, what they did to us. We don't write. We have to write
to the next generation. We don't tell it to the next generation.
Yes.
The next generation is totally lost. They haven't a clue. They have no sense of what is happening to them in the world.
Yeah.
So let me take this opportunity to say thanks, Karen, for your contribution. I know that we are at that hour where, we normally close off, but I really want to give maybe two more persons the opportunity to say something, to contribute quickly. Who do we have? I see we have Dr. Ned, and we still have Dr. James. Am I going to hear from you all tonight? Okay, Adeyemi.
Looks like they're on mute.
Greetings, good evening. I would first like to thank the speaker. I think it's been exceptional in terms of what you've presented. One of the points I want to make, which I think is vitally important, the survival of this planet depends on African people. Not just our everyday survival, but the survival of the whole planet depends on us doing what we have to do. It's only us can save it. And I think with bearing that in mind, I think some of the smaller issues, if you want to put it that way, in terms of our children are lost. We have a lot of very brilliant young people who have taken up the struggle and are doing some brilliant and outstanding work. And I think we need to acknowledge them as well. So we're not totally lost. There's so much wonderful things happening. I, as an elder, I'm very proud of the work. And sometimes I even have to give ground to them in terms of how they see the world and what's happening in the world. So again, thank you very much. It's been very enlightening. It's information, although you know much of it, pulling it together to make sense of it is vitally important. So again, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
I think of the last 6 months of Jovenel Moise's life. In March of 2021, Gregory Mix, who's a congressman in Queens, held a policy recommendation meeting on Haiti, and he called Pamela White, who was ambassador in Haiti under Mateli during the 2012 all the way up until 2015, I think. And she's the one who also participated in the amendment, or if not, wrote the amendment. And Gregory Mix asked her at that time, before he died, there was a lot of protests against him. And remember, I told you he was persecuting the Supreme Court justices. He was sending them into retirement. He arrested one of them. And so the Gregory Mix asked her, what did she think that the US should do with him. This is the other thing that I don't understand. How is it the US's business? But of course, it is because they are behind the scene pulling the strings, making these things happen, that they feel that they can interject themselves into the activities, into what is happening in Haiti. So Gregory Mix asked Pamela White, what should we do with Haiti? What is your recommendation for Jovenel? How should we treat Jovenel? And I'm gonna find her quote. And she said, well, we could ask him to step aside. She says, we can ask him to step aside and then embrace the prime minister option. I said, what does that mean? Embrace the prime minister option. It's a good thing I read the amendment, right? So I know that they have moved the presidential vacancy from the Supreme Court to the Council of Ministers. And then I also read the proposed constitution that Jovenel was presenting for referendum, where they had consolidated power in the executive branch, and then the prime ministers were going to be the ones to make decisions, vital decisions, democratic decisions on behalf of the nation, whereas they're not elected. So if they're not elected, they are not in a position to make these type of decisions. So she says, so she says, Moise, we're going to ask Moise, troublesome Moise, put him aside and embrace the prime minister. And she went on to say, it would be nice if he would step down, but I do not think that is going to happen. And then she says she wouldn't name any names, but she gave a brief description as to the character recommendation, non-corrupt, not from political sector and not from the private sector. Well, the day before his assassination, he named Ariel Henry as his new prime minister, because I think it was already on the third prime minister. And then I had already read about Ariel Henry, who had participated in the removal of Jean-Bertrand Aristide. We had a council of sages, 7 people they selected from the society to debate on what to do with Jean-Bertrand Aristide. So he was part of the council of sages that chose Gérard Latortue, who implemented the neoliberal policies in the country. And then the National Assembly selected Boniface, who was then Chief Justice of the Haitian Supreme Court, to be provisional president. So do you see the connection? But you have to go deep into how convoluted these people are in intertwining, in infiltrating themselves to destroy a nation's sovereignty, and then present it as the nation having the problem and not them creating the problem, and then the problem becomes festered, and then here it is, it's exposed. That's like one of the points I wanted to make.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't know, Dr. James, Vanas?
I would only take the opportunity to thank Rosi for appearing and coming on and revealing both her soul and her interpretation of what has happened in Haiti. Thank you, Rosi.
You're very welcome.
Okay, anyone else would like to say something? Okay. If not, we are at 9:40. And it's usually the time that we say, thank you as we come to the end of the program. So thank you again, Rosie. Thank you for, your generosity in sharing. Thank you for being so authentic in your sharing and so, moved by your passion. And certainly, it is something that we all keep in mind as Akil said, we can't think that it's happening over there. So when our neighbor house on fire, but your own. But also they are our brothers and sisters. And so any way we can, any opportunity that comes upon our doorstep to assist in any way is certainly one thing, that we should take on. And it's not always, a monetary or a physical. Something may come up. We don't know. But we get to keep ourselves open for it. And so, Rosie, thank you again for making the time to be here with us. And all of the persons who contributed by commenting, saying something. Thank you for being here. The others, just thank you for being on the platform and listening. And so I know someone asked, Mr. Hines, you asked about the recording being available. How do we get to you? The link is usually dropped. I don't know if you're in the WhatsApp group chat. Or we can send it to you. Okay. So thank you again. We look forward to seeing you next week, and happy Emancipation Day, guys. It's a lot to think about on this day that we have coming up. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure to share my viewpoints, and it's also part of who I am. It's not just information. I'm deeply rooted in the Haitian culture. Even though I was born in the United States, I'm still very much connected. I had even moved to Haiti, as I said before, because I wanted to go help. I wanted to go work the land. I wanted to go into agriculture. I wanted to work with the peasants. I wanted to help them. I wanted to share my knowledge, my experience, my skills with them, the children that are coming up. I wanted to leave a legacy in Haiti because I've been exposed to the trauma that the international community has imposed on Haiti, on the Haitian people, forcing them to flee their country, as if they are roamers of earth, and they have no home, where in fact they do. They pay for the land. They should not be leaving their land. So my wish was to help revamp the agriculture sector, to now build large agribusiness with the Haitian farmers, instead of small farmers put their small acres together, make a large parcel, and then grow a crop where we can either export or sell on the domestic market. 12 million people, you selling food to 12 million people, you're making money, right? So we are, and then that got interrupted with the gang activities. And then COVID also came around in 21. So, but I'm still thinking of going back to Haiti. Not now. I'm waiting for when the dust settles, when they decide what they're gonna do with the gangs. The gangs are cultivated by the oligarchs, by the outsiders, the foreigners. They don't want to show their faces. They don't want to be the culprit. So they drug these people to go terrorize the population so that they can remove them off their land. These are all little things they do, but people don't see it, don't know it until you put you make the connection, you connect the dots, then you understand. And terrorism did not just spring itself up. It comes from the fact that the U.S. military is now limited. They cannot invade the way they did, in 2003, in 2001. They had NATO destroy Libya because the American military could not go into Libya. So we see that their power is declining. So as their power declines, that's when we ourselves should strengthen our power. We should not just say, well, they're declining and sit back. No, this is an opportunity for us to strengthen our power, to consolidate, our power, so that as they decline, we rise. And as we rise, we take charge, we take control of our economic system and our political system. They are in decline. You've read that. I'm sure, the audience have read how, the West, the US power is in decline. So if we are aware of that, as they are declining, what do we do? So that we who was weakened by their power now reinforce, strengthen ourselves in our ideology, in our reality, political ideology, but we have political reality. We don't have political ideology because we don't have to make up anything to say who we are, to do. Political reality is what the African people possess. We have our land, we have our resources. That is the political reality. And that's where we should focus. How do we strengthen ourselves as they are in decline? European nation is in decline. The entire European Union is in decline. Economically, they are in crisis. What do we do? Right?
And again, I say to them on Emancipation Day, these are some of the questions we get to reflect on.
Yes. Indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
So thanks again.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everyone. I think we lost Lloyd.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, you are?
And Lloyd, thank you so much for the connection.
But my internet has been unstable for most of the time.
Okay. All right. Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care, everyone. Be safe.
Thanks, Prof, for being here.
Thank you for having me as usual.
Bye-bye.